Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news. Last night, we got the next installment of WandaVision, and it was an incredible, mind-blowing episode. We finally started to get some real answers, some real confirmations, and some suspicions that we, the fan base, have had for a long time have finally come to light. Now, I will be talking about this episode and, of course, other episodes that have passed, so if you haven't seen this episode or any of those, be sure to click away now if you do not want any spoilers. For the rest of you, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, and comment down below what you guys thought about that episode. Absolutely amazing reveal at the end. So let's cut to the chase. We know who Agnes is, and I think we always did, but now we hard confirmed know that Agnes is Agatha Harkness. So there are no more questions about that, and she is very aware of what's going on within Westview, and not only that, she has been manipulating an abundance of different things going on within Westview, which again, I think most of us have already kind of assumed and figured out, but we got to go through and see during the Agnes theme song that we had where they showed us all the behind the scenes happenings where she was manipulating so many different things going on throughout the previous episodes of WandaVision, including Pietro. So she's the one that brought him back, or out of a different multiverse and into Wanda's life. Now, the reason for that could be a multiple different crazy things, but personally I think the reason that she brought him out of a different universe leads back to the moment where they talked about bringing back Sparky from the dead. And the boys said to Wanda, "You can save anything, you can do anything, bring him back from the dead, Mom." And Agnes said, "You can do that." All surprised and curious, wondering if her powers and abilities allowed her to do that, because maybe Agnes does not have the ability to do that, or should I say Agatha Harkness does not have the ability to do that, and she had to get a different Pietro from a different universe and a different multiverse in order to have him included in the show, in WandaVision, and in the show that Wanda's living. We learned a great deal about Agatha Harkness. We saw her little basement where she said the kids were, which was in order to trap Wanda down there, where at the very end of the show we see what appears to be her taking over Wanda's mind. Throughout the little theme song, we saw every single time Agatha did a trick or was involved in something, there was that purple dust, that purple smoke. And we saw that go over Wanda's eyes at the very end. So curious what that's going to play out in the future, if she took control over Wanda, took control over the town, or how that's going to work out. Now, without a doubt, there are a couple huge questions that remain as far as Agatha Harkness is concerned. One, who is she working for / with? What does she want / what does the person she's working for want from Wanda? And are the boys still alive? Or have they been captured? Have their image been completely removed because they were all used to lure Wanda and to entrap her deeper into this spell? Or have they been removed and given to somebody else? Maybe a Mephisto or a Nightmare character, which a lot of people are hoping to see come to fruition throughout this show. Always have to mention that little brooch that Agnes or Agatha has in every single episode, which appears to have the Grim Reaper. Obviously there's a very clear scythe there, and two children. I presume that would be Billy and Tommy, and maybe there is a Grim Reaper connection since we already do have that Easter egg from way back in the first episode where we did see the helmet. So it's very hard to tell. There are a lot of options and a lot of ideas on the board, namely Mephisto, Nightmare, Grim Reaper, and a lot of others, but those would probably be the biggest three and the most likely. Why I'm still pretty sure that there is another alternate being, somebody else who's going to be involved other than just Agatha, is because she keeps mentioning her husband, Ralph. Now, who that is probably the answer to whoever everything has been revolved around as far as every evil deed that has been going on. Now, Agatha has possessed the power to control it and has been manipulating a lot of things going on in Westview behind Wanda's back and behind Wanda's abilities, but there is a greater source, I believe, at this point, and it will be whoever this Ralph that she continues to mention is. We got a lot of very cool looks at a lot of different things down in that basement, including the Darkhold, which seemingly connects a lot of different universes and worlds for the multiverse, for the MCU, things that people have been talking about for a long time, and that also will include now Doctor Strange, who we know is probably going to make an appearance or have some type of involvement in WandaVision, or at the very least, we are 100% sure that Wanda will be involved in Doctor Strange. And that's probably going to be one of the big connecting factors. There are these ancient texts in these books that the Sorcerer Supreme is probably in charge of keeping an eye on and keeping control of. That, and of course the fact that the multiverse has probably been pierced open by Agatha when she brought Pietro out of the Fox universe and into the MCU universe, which is going to start the enticement of the Multiverse of Madness. While we're on the theme of Doctor Strange, let's talk about that basement scene. When she gets down there immediately, we see the trees growing on the sides, and of course the first thing I thought was, wow, this is where Agatha Harkness is going to be doing all of her spells, and this is her little brewing stand in her lair. And then of course as we go in, we continue to see all of these really dark tones, these relics on the walls, this ominous music playing in the background, this fog, dark, not bright lights, nothing like that. We got a good glimpse into what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to feel like. And that for me is so exciting. It's great to see that. And that's coming from a more personal level. I'm a huge fan of the horror genre, of that kind of spooky thriller vibe. So I'm very excited to see what tones and how deep and strongly they decide to go with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, since Kevin Feige has in fact hinted and pretty much straight out told us there are going to be a little bit more of a scarier feel and a scarier vibe to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, of course, this is still the MCU. It's not going to be a straight up horror. It's not going to be blood and crazy guts and crying and screaming and ghosts, but it is going to have that dark tone that I think we got a very good taste for during that end basement scene. Then, of course, as far as other big news for this episode go, Vision's figuring a lot out. He's hanging out with Darcy, who he awoken, and she didn't seem to have a lot of issues from being transferred over to Wanda's world, and that might just be because of the short amount of time that she was there. Vision woke her up in time for everything to be okay. She realizes what's going on, and she wasn't in any pain. She talked a lot about everything going on with Vision and told him about how much they loved each other. So we have seen in a couple trailers the images where Wanda and Vision talk about how this is their home and they need to protect it. So moving forward, we will see that. Now, whether they're protecting that from Agatha or if they're protecting that from Sword, we're going to have to wait to find out. We don't know what exactly the depth of Wanda being taken over by Agatha is going to play moving forward just yet. But on the motion of characters making their way from outside the hex to the inside, Monica tried to use what people are assuming is Reed Richards' magic space car, and it did not work out. But after, she was highly motivated and knew she could get through, so she pushed her way through. During that, we get a very long sequence where we hear a lot of different voices from a lot of different actors, including Captain Marvel, Nick Fury, the Doctor from when she was at the hospital, her mom, and herself when she was a child, and eventually that gives her the strength and the courage to push through the hex, and after that, she receives her superpowers. Now, whether that makes her a mutant or if she's going to follow a more comic book-like trend moving forward as a superhero in the MCU, we don't know, and frankly that doesn't really matter for this part of WandaVision. But we do see is the electric pulse ability that she has, where she's seeing all of these different things with those now blue eyes, and she's able to turn that on and off. When she gets attacked by Wanda, she's able to withstand the blow pretty well, so it's interesting to see how powerful she actually will end up becoming, and I'm willing to bet she's going to become one of the more powerful MCU characters. But that's going to be, again, for later. What we're talking about now is that end credit scene, which this was the first one that we got an end credit scene, so it's possible that you missed it. If you did, all that really happened was she was sneaking up to Agatha's house, she opens up the shutters to the basement, she sees the purple tree roots on the side, and then Pietro comes up to her and says, "Snooper's gonna snoop," because clearly she's snooping on Agatha's house. After Agatha came and said, "Hey, Wanda, why don't we leave this situation?" because there was a huge heated argument going on out in the front yard, and clearly Agnes didn't want that happening because she's trying to capture Wanda, which she ended up succeeding in doing. After he says Snooper's gonna snoop, she turns and we see again those bright blue eyes staring into the camera, and then that is the end of a very overwhelming and answer-driven episode. Very exciting. A lot of news. definitely something to have a lot of hype and excitement around. This next episode is going to give us probably even more answers, and I hope you guys are ready for them. Again, curious who Ralph is, if Ralph is this connection to Mysterio, Grim Reaper, Nightmare, or that character, or if Agatha really is behind everything like the song says. She's been behind every evil little thing so far, but maybe there's more to the story than what we have seen. So far, every episode has proven that to be true, and I don't think this episode is an exclusion to that. But let me know your thoughts about this episode in the comments down below. What was your most exciting moment in this episode? What do you guys think about Agatha Harkness making her appearance? And do you think Tommy and Billy are okay, or have they been captured and brought off to a different terrible, insidious being? Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. As always, thank you to everybody watching to the very end of the video. If you're not helpful, useful, or entertaining, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you guys right here for the next one on Cosmic Culture.